So I came across a video of a white American talking about Tyler's beautiful colored accent. Let's listen.
I have no idea what that freaking accent is. That's like call center scammer accent. Do not redeem. Do not redeem the gift card, ma'am. No, 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 no. That voice, that accent pisses Americans off like you would not believe. That's Americans when we're trying to just figure out how to do anything. Why our cell phone bill is 50 times over what it was. Trying to make an appointment at a doctor, trying to make an appointment anywhere. It goes, press 1 for English and thank you for calling the beep beep. This is Tyla.
How come this whole stuff with Tyla is not just xenophobia?
Tyla barely sold freaking 4,000 copies in her first week for her new EP because of the disrespect she displayed towards Black American people.
Well, the elephant in the room is back and white people have joined the discourse. The big name, the problem of the world at the moment, Tyla. Tyla again. Oh my God. It happened, I think it was 2023, 2024. Tyla each and every single year has become a problem to the United States. And I think this is something we actually need to discuss. However, ladies and gentlemen, I never thought I would wake up and see white people in this mix. No, because I thought this is between black people and Tyla. But seeing a white woman in this situation, I'm like, girl, sit this one out. First, relax, chillax. Ma'am, first, sit your ass down, your white ass down, and relax. Because, first of all, when African Americans are going off of Tyla, it's in a different way. But then coming as a white lady into the discourse, and then you're talking like, oh, you don't like Indian people or people with accents. It's just giving. It's not even about Tyla. Even in America where you are, you literally do not like people of color. It's just giving. Like, it's not even about Tyla. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, oh my God, welcome to my channel. My name is Natkuna S. If you're new here, hi, welcome. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, like, comment, and share. Let me know what you think in the comment section about this Tyla situation. Like, how are we ever gonna get over this situation? I just want to show you people's reactions. However, if I'm to say something, I will say one thing. Tyla is colored. I understand. However bad it is, however much it sounds so bad. Tyla is colored. Tyla is colored. Tyla is not black. Tyla is not black. Tyla is colored.
I'm American. I lived in South Africa for the first half of 2016 and the latter half of 2017. And here's what everybody's getting wrong about Tyla. First off, Tyla's colored. Oh yeah, she's colored through and through. She's not colored in one place and black in another place. She's not, she's colored. And it's an important distinction to make because being colored in South Africa versus being black in South Africa have two vastly different implications as to basically what outcomes to expect out of life.
In South Africa, my race is called colored. And it's a very stressful term to use in America because I know it's a derogatory term.
Right.
But I mean, that's what we are called.
Right.
In South
Not once in that video did Tyla expect Black Americans to refer to her as colored. All she did in that video is just let you know that in her culture, this is what she's referred to, respectfully too. And also considering, she was very considerate. She mentioned that that word is a funny word in America. But yet, Black Americans have ran with this and have made it something that it's not. We have been forced as Africans to learn about American history, Black American history. We have been forced to educate ourselves on slavery in your country, okay? In schools, on social media, we have had no choice. So we know about your history. We learn about your history. But you guys don't know anything about us. And this goes to show that you're not even willing to learn. You call yourself African, but you know nothing about us. And when we try to educate you, you throw it in our faces and you take complete offense to it. Nobody's saying that you should refer to yourself as colored, or that Tyler is expecting you to refer to her as colored, or that any of us are expecting you to refer to any of us as colored. I'm not colored, firstly, I'm black. But you'll never know. You'll assume that I am maybe sometimes. In South Africa, they would assume that I am sometimes. But I will say, no, I'm black. And the conversation ends there because we know our history. It's not only South Africa that uses the term. They use it in Namibia. They use it in Mozambique. They use it in Angola. Have you ever heard mulatto? It's the same thing. There is an artist called Mulatto who had to change her name to Lato. Why? Because Black Americans were offended. Offended of African culture and language. So now we had to conform to your ways once again because you guys don't respect our culture and our language, and you're not taking the time just to educate yourself a little bit on our history and on our culture. And that's all we are asking of you. Nobody's being disrespectful. We are just asking you to educate yourself on our history the way we've had to be forced to educate ourselves on yours.
Basically, the difference between America and South Africa in terms of race is unlike in America, which had the one drop rule, meaning any amount of African made you black. In South Africa, there was a separate racial classification made for mixed people. With the exception of Cape Malay people, most colored people are some sort of mix of various, corners of the globe that had migrated to South Africa during the pre-colonial periods, plus like native Khoi and San people in South Africa, plus like some kind of African, some kind of Xhosa, some kind of Zulu, or the other southern ethnic African groups that was like down there. Oh, and a little bit white, but not an exorbitant amount. A lot of people like to equate colored people in South Africa with like Creole people in the United States, and that's not what it is. Colored people are more like Latino people, specifically kind of like Dominicans, where it's like they're mixed with previous colonial powers and another set of like almost like Asiatic, some sort of people, and then a mix of like a little bit of African. But the dominant culture, the way that they constructed race at the time, stigmatized the African presence within the person's heritage, right? And in South Africa, these implications were very de jure, very stark, very overt, very much codified in law, right? If you were colored, there were very specific advantages that you had over black people, like period. And it could be as simple as passing a comb through your hair that would decide whether you lived like here or there, whether you lived in a shipping container or a modest home of some kind. Whereas colored people experienced discrimination and displacement and all sorts of those sort of things under apartheid, they didn't experience it to the same extent that black people experienced it. So, say for example, colored people still lived in these zones that were still like very much under white control. They were still excluded from participating in voting and things like that. But in contrast, black people were schlepped off into these like homelands, what they called them. And these lands were actually like excluded from South Africa. So they made like different countries out of these places, and people had to, if they wanted to like go work in South Africa, i.e. like 30-mile train right away, they had to carry these passes. So black people always had to carry these passes if they ever wanted to like pass the checkpoint to like go to South Africa, i.e. like travel 2 blocks again to like, get their basic needs to go bring back home, whatever, what have you. Colored people didn't have those requirements. My experience with colored people in South Africa, bear in mind I was studying in the Western Cape. If you ask the plebeian version of me, I'll tell you they were racist. If you ask the astute, sophisticated academic that I am, I would say that colored people, due to their mixed race heritage, were by and large placed above black people in various aspects of life in South Africa, and many colored people had internalized this narrative And a lot of colored people who do not espouse this narrative had gone through an extensive unlearning process to reach there. This idea that like, oh, don't say you're colored. Colored is a slur. I wouldn't go there. Because again, colored doesn't equal black. They're not saying like black in a mean way. They're talking about a totally different set of people that had totally different status in their countries than like black people did, right? So again, to reiterate, right? Today, you could go to South Africa, you can go to a public place, and there could be a colored person and a black person standing next to each other, and they are two different people. You could say that person is colored and that person is black. And so yes, very much like a lot of like sort of anti-black socialized, like Latino people, let's just say, like colored people are also socialized to dissociate themselves from blackness at like certain points. Yes, I kind of study the artists and stuff, the folks that come out. I had heard Tyla in interviews talking about like the Bacardi dance. It's not twerking. No, it's not twerking. Like at first, it's things like that where it's like, yes, there is an implicit sort of conditioning to say like, oh no, I'm not doing a black thing because I'm colored. This is a colored thing. The appropriation is still there and the benefits are still there. But I don't think that someone like her who like, I think she like left college like kind of early to go and pursue music. Like I wouldn't expect somebody like her to like have a real understanding of those types of nuances and like, have any kind of political education to be able to really like articulate them. And I do think that it's a lot to try to like get one person to have all the answers on. It feels a little bit sacrificial lamb-ish, and I kind of feel like it's unproductive. But with that said, the vitriol against Black Americans from Black South Africans is very real. But why is it happening, right? If Black South Africans are essentially leveraging somebody that doesn't claim them, right? Because Tyla is colored. Tyla does not consider herself a Black South African. Why are Black South Africans essentially rallying behind somebody who considers themselves institutionally above them to scapegoat and, hate on essentially Black Americans? Well, rumor has it, at least at the time that I was there's a tiny little narrative going around in South Africa where there's essentially an inroad for Black Americans to be classified as colored in South Africa. Now, if Black Americans were considered tantamount to colored South Africans, that would spell TROUBLE for Black South Africans. I could see the massive frustration there. Like, I think that's where a lot of the xenophobia comes from. It's like, you got these folks that, how Black Americans are represented in the world. We're the most like overexposed culture, like literally in the world. The good, the bad, the ugly of Black people is shown to the, to a surveillance extent, right? And that's on purpose. But Black South Africans, a lot of them that are displaying these xenophobic sentiments are afraid of having some folks come in and literally be placed above them in society. It would be a very serious problem if it's not already. I haven't been there in a few years. But when it comes like to the album flop, like, I don't know, flop is a strong word, but we can definitely say the drop has not gone as expected, as anticipated, especially just for like her fan base. From what I understand, they were like told a lot of different things. There were dates and things that moved lengths of the album that was not the same as promised and whatever, what have you. So clearly some things did go wrong, but Tyla was initially very anthropologically grounded in her work, which I really thought was an asset when she first came out. She represented Amapiano. She represented like the South African sound and really is kind of the first sort of geopolitical event coming out of South Africa. I think of like the Beatles from the 60s, a similar sort of invasion, so to speak. When people say, well, she didn't want to assimilate into Black American culture and she should have learned to assimilate. Well, she did assimilate. If you listen to the EP, she clearly assimilated into Afrobeats. So clearly her team had stopped worrying about America a long time ago. but I think that they overestimated how easy it would be to go into the Afrobeats market. I don't think that they anticipated that, there wouldn't be this sort of sensational uptake of her as there was in the United States.
Man, back home I'm making fun of Tyla kick. Do not redeem, do not redeem.
I've been living in Alabama my whole life. I even once kind of made a move on my cousin. I've been in Tennessee this whole time. I've been on government assistance my whole life. Trump better not even try to take away my EBT. Trump is the best thing that's ever happened to this country. Land free, home of the brave, America. God we trust. When I was little, my pawpaw used to tell me stories about the old days. You know what the old days was. When the colored people drive us around and clean our houses and clean our clothes and say yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. I miss them old days.
I lived in South Africa for 7 years, and if there's any country that has taught me a lot about life in different races and cultures, is South Africa. I call myself Natkunda Esther, a fake South African. That country is so dear to me. It's home to me. Everything I know about life and growth and success and building yourself and understanding anything out of what you are groomed to know within your country, I've learned in South Africa. And there's one thing I will tell you. And guys, bear with me. I know this can be triggering and maybe it may not sit well with people's hearts, but I must say this. As a black woman, this is why I feel like white people will stay winning, because we want everyone to associate with blackness so badly. All I'm trying to say is, Tyla is not black. For however much we would want to force her to say I am black, Tyla saying she's black, it would be very extremely disrespectful to her race. And I know it sounds like crazy, but y'all, let me tell you, different countries, different stuff. I know in the UK are hard. It would be crazy if you said you were colored, and it's very understandable. This is why I feel like Tyla respects that part where she says that, because she did an interview and she said, I understand here in America that is a derogatory word to say, but I am colored. Tyla is colored. As a fake South African, I can confirm Tyla is colored. Did I know about colored people before? Never in my entire life. But in my country, we say in English it says traveling is seeing, coming back is narrating the story of what you saw when you traveled. When I traveled to South Africa, I realized the world does not revolve around what I know. What I thought was my country was the part of Africa and the British colonized us. When I went to South Africa, I realized there is more to life than what I know, what I've heard of, what I've learned. Until you travel to someone's country and you understand their culture, you will get to respect what they're talking about when they say something. You understand? Let me tell you an example. In Rwanda, the name Riabimana, it's a very beautiful name. In my country, the same thing is so bad. If you say it, parents, they will hold the kids' ears like this. The parent, if you're in the household, your parents will beat you. If you say it in a board meeting, it's so bad in my country, but in Rwanda, it's a beautiful name. Until you travel to Rwanda and realize actually what makes it beautiful, but for you in your country, it's extremely bad, you will understand and respect their name and actually realize it's a beautiful thing for them. Tyla is never gonna be black. Tyla belongs to a race called colored. Tyla is colored. And colored people are some of the most beautiful South Africans you're gonna ever find. Because they are a blend of everything. Matter of fact, they are in a race of their own. This is why when you look at Tyla, Tyla has everything. If you look at Tyla, every feature that's considered the prettiest on planet Earth. Body T, face cut, hair, language, characteristics, everything. She has that African, She has that Indian. She has the white. She has every. Her race is a mixture, pot blend of 1,000 races. Tyla is colored. I wish one day we wake up to find out that some of our brothers and sisters in America getting to see that it's a beautiful thing to be colored. Man, it's a beautiful thing to be colored. Let me tell you, like, even me myself, I feel good like when I start putting on a colored accent. I love it. I love it. When I hear Tyla talking, I love it because it's so prestige for Tyla to be colored. I love colored people so much that I even try to imitate their language, like their accents. Well, I can't speak Afrikaans because they speak Afrikaans in different other languages. But like, being colored is a prestige. Being colored is honorable. Being colored is identity. Being colored is being unique. Being colored, it's pretty being colored. And I will love, now let me tell you, I love the fact that till death do her apart, Tyla has stayed true to her people. Tyla has stayed true to her people. Y'all see white people colonized? You ain't found one white person who wakes up and say, oh, my ancestors did this. I'm not white no more. No, they'll still be white. They'll acknowledge whatever happened. They still be white. Tyla acknowledges in America where she is. It's different when someone says I'm colored. But I love the fact that she has stood her ground to let the world know I am colored and I am proud. Because she is a colored. If Tyla wakes up and says she is black, she is literally disrespecting the entire African continent. If Tyla wakes up and says I am black, it will be disrespectful to the entire African continent, because I feel like at least, well, I think in America it's just like black, white, or like you're Asian or you're Hispanic. But an African will understand. Not only am I Ugandan, I belong to a certain village, I belong to a certain tribe that speaks a certain way and they live a certain way. So for Tyla to wake up and say, I am black, I'm not colored, it's a disrespect to the entire continent of Africa. Because you're forgetting who you are, you're dumping who you are. We are supposed to import who we are, not to change into something else. We don't want to be like the whites, because when they came, they brought their culture. African people were trying so bad to stay with our cultures, and that's what we want to sell to the world. Honestly, seeing Tyla being forced to not be Tyla, the colored South African girl, pretty Joburg girl, I don't know how we got there. I honestly, this is my honest opinion, I don't know how we got, most especially, like, well, I don't want to say that most especially that it's coming from black people, but I must say that I pray in the name of Jesus Christ, the Father, Lord, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, that every person that wants Tyla to drop her coloredness so bad takes a trip outside of the United States. You will get to understand there's so much to the world than what you know in America. And you will get to realize it's very beautiful. I love colored people that immediately when I go to Joburg, see, this is the beauty with African people. And this is the beauty, this is why Tyla sells. Oh, maybe, I don't know, maybe American people don't want her anymore, but this is why African people love Tyla. When Tyla is with the coloreds, Tyla is a colored. When Tyla is with Kenyans, Tyla is an African colored with Kenyans. When Tyla went to South Korea, she will realize I'm in South Korea, but I'm a colored girl from South Africa. She never changes herself. She will acknowledge where she is, but she is carrying a piece of her to where she's going. That is the best thing of self-love anyone can do, because you understand your identity. If Tyla wakes up today and then she says I'm not colored, disrespect, we will cancel her in Africa. Honestly, it will be very disrespectful, because we must always pride in who we are. We are trying to beat colonialism so bad as African people the last thing we would want to know is someone saying, act this way because you're not in Africa. You know what comes to African people's minds? I'm just gonna say it bluntly the way it is, guys. Don't be angry at me. I'm just saying. It just says colonizer. If somebody wakes up and says Natkunda Esther, you need to identify a certain way and drop where you come from. It's giving colonizer mindset. That's what white people did. They enforced English. They enforced a certain level of education, style, living. You know, this is why slavery happened. This is why revolutions happened. Because black people were trying so bad to beat the white system. The enforcement white people had on black people. These are the revolutions because black people were fighting so hard to beat the white colonizer mindset of changing, bringing their British mindset and lifestyle, forcing it into Africans to the T of living and talking. If we have skipped those days of colonization and then now we have independent states and we want to think independently as African countries, when we wake up and we hear somebody say, drop your culture to adjust to another culture, it's giving white people colonization. And the fact that for me, I see it coming from people that look like me, it's kind of like, because baby, let me tell you, this is why I always say, this is why I always say, African Americans, when you wake up and say this is right, as an African American, I said so, that's on period, baby, you is right. Because you are standing your ground as an African American. This is about you. This is about your identity. And you should never lose it. When I wake up and say, I can speak 7 languages, I can be a colored accented girl today, I can be a Nairobi girly the following day, I can be a Tswana girl the following day, I can speak like an African American lady today, I can speak like a Ugandan tomorrow. At the end of the day, I'm a Ugandan girl and I'm an African. I belong to a certain tribe, and that is what I'll always be. If somebody tells me you need to drop it because it's not good for us, well, it's like you're telling me I'm a white man, got a pew-pew on your head. You better speak English for the rest of your lives or else. And I'm sorry to bring in white people like this, but you see, the problem is now I have to relate it to colonization. But yeah, tell me what you think in the comment section.